So welcome back to my channel. This is going to be a quick recap of Channel Zero's Dream Door Season 4 Episode 6. Episode 6, Two of Us. Okay, so it opens up with Tom waking up in a home that's a home that's being developed. So if you remember Ian and Jillian's father, that's what he does. He's a developer. So there's a new development going up, and so they have a lot of homes that are like they're working on at this point. So you see tall man dragging Tom into one of these rooms, and Ian is sitting there eating because he has to get his strength back up. And they start talking, and Ian tells Tom that when Tom asked him where he was, he said, "Oh, this is actually Jillian's house. Your wife's house." It turns out that our father left everything to her, so his entire business or whatever. So I'm assuming that Jillian is now a well-to-do woman, right? And Ian was like, "Not that you are going to live long to enjoy it." And so he starts talking to Ian starts fucking with Tom's mind, like, I understand that she, didn't know what she was, and I understand that she didn't know that she was had this gift and that she was the extraordinary person, but what I can't get is why would she be interested in you? And then he said, "Well, you know what? Now that I think about it, I do, because you were from a time gone by, because you knew her before." And basically calling him safe, saying that, and you were safe. Not that she, really loves you or anything like that. It's just that you were, in her mind, you were, I guess, what she thought was everything that our dad wasn't. And as Ian starts having some type of attack. And that was just long enough for Tom to get his ass up and run the fuck off. So he jumps out the window. And of course, Ian sends tall man after Tom. Okay, so while this conversation is going on, Jillian is actually on her way there. So she gets to the development, and the security truck pulls up, and she's asking him if he's seen anything. And he was like asking her why she was there, because it's middle of the night at this point. And she was asking him if he had seen anybody else, hanging around there. And he was basically like, no, I haven't seen anyone. Next thing you start seeing all these machinations coming from all over the place. It's probably like 15 of them. They jumped on the security guard and beat the shit out of him. Basically beat him to death. So she took off running. And so now her goal obviously is to find Tom. And so she sees tall man in the distance, almost like he's going after something. So she follows him and then to this house. And then she sees Tom, and she goes in and she starts talking to him, and he said how much he loves her, And so she sits there, she's sitting there, she's trying to recreate Pretzel Jack. And so she couldn't, and it's like it was flashing between her and Tom and Ian, and it's like, and then it was weird, like how it was flashing to Ian. And something had happened where she realized that it wasn't the real Tom. Ian had created a Tom, right? And so when she realized that, her ass took off running, and he took off after her, and she ends up stabbing the shit out of him. He falls down, and while he's on the ground, the real Tom walks up, and he's like, it's the real me, and then she's like, okay, well, if it's really you, then tell me something from my past that only I would know. And so instead of him telling her something, he kind of stood there for a minute, and it's like, what the fuck is going on? What is he doing? And then he picks something up, and he cuts his hand, and it's bleeding. Now these creations don't bleed. So he was like, I think we've lived enough in the past. And so she saw the blood, and he was like, even though it's the real me, are you still happy to see me? And so she run over to him, and she hugs him. And then he sees the fake him on the ground, and he just basically crushes this man. I don't even call it a man, this thing's skull. And so Jillian's kind of standing there like, okay, okay. So now you see them, it's the morning time, and they're still hiding out, trying to decide what their next move is going to be. And so they start walking to find help, and then next you see Ian come out. And he was like, well, you were never going to get away because I have a lot of my little friends all around. They're good at hiding that. And you can see that he's tapped, like he's zapped because he's exerted so much energy creating and controlling these manifestations or whatever, right? And so let you know, tall boy, there's a tall man shows up, and he's talking to Jillian, and he's basically like, obviously he wants them to have a relationship even though they're related. And he was like, I need your help to create something. And she was like, what, right here? He said, well, not while Tom's watching. I was like, oh, no, the fuck he didn't. So this, tall man starts running after them, and they take off running. And they, you see Ian lagging behind because he's weak, he's exhausted. So he ran as far as he could, and he just collapsed. And so they run into a house. And so now they're sitting in the house, and Tom starts apologizing to her for like blaming her for everything, and he apologized for not being honest with her and the whole thing. And so they saw tall man coming towards the house, and so Tom said that he would try to buy her some time so that she can recreate Pretzel Jack, basically. And so if you also remember that Tom also works in construction, so he knows about a lot about homes. And so he's able to maneuver and get through this house. Tall man is now came in the house, and so she's in the room and she's working, trying to recreate, and then eventually she creates the door, and Pretzel Jack falls out, flips out. And so at this point, tall man is made it up wherever Jillian is. Tom is there, and now Pretzel Jack. So now you have a clash of, I don't want to say the Titans because Pretzel Jack was her first creation. I think Tall Man was Ian's first creation. So they do a little battle, and then Pretzel Jack and fucking Tall Man, and you can see that weekend, because Pretzel Jack in essence killed Tall Man for the time being, and so you can see how it attacks Ian because he's laying on the ground and he's just like he's wiped out, right? And so now they agree, like they can't just go around because there's so many of them. They realize they have to go to the source, which is Ian. So they've decided that Ian has to go. I mean, was there ever any doubt? Like, I mean, in all honesty, was there ever any other option? But okay. So now, they're out and they see Ian again. He's running. And so he runs past the Tom he created with the crushed face and all that, right? And he just that quick was able to, I guess, resurrect Tall Man, and he runs off. And so they run until they come up to this house, and Pretzel Jack and Tom, they're ready to go into the house, and Jillian is kind of standing there for a minute just looking at the house like she could sense something. And so eventually they see the other creatures coming behind them, and so she runs into the house. And so now they've separated and they're searching different rooms. And Jillian comes to a room and she finds Ian. And in this room, there are like 20 doors, right? All different colors. And they started talking. And he was basically, saying that how, they belong together and how they're perfect for each other. And he asked her, like, why she never came to look for him. And she felt like their father had left her mother to be with them. And so she felt like he had the better deal or whatever. And so it was just a lot of, you see, this animosity and resentment between children. When you have situations where children are growing up in different homes, and you feel like in most cases it's the father who is going between the homes. You always feel like, especially if you have a man has been married before and he has a child, and then he leaves, that family breaks up, and then the father remarries and has another family. The child from the previous relationships sometimes feel left behind, or because they don't have as the same access to him as they once did, and so they always feel like the other child is getting the other child has the life that they could have had. And so I think that was basically the point that she was trying to make. And he was like, you know, both of us are fucked up because of our dad, and I killed him for you. And she was like, you ruined any chance of me ever having the opportunity to forgive him, and and so the next thing you know, she starts, you know, telling him that it doesn't have to be this way. And, you know, she wants to learn, she's learning to control it because she doesn't want to hurt people. And he doesn't have to either. And he just was like, you know what, stop faking, you know, like you're this regular person for Tom, like, you know who you really are. Like, he really believes that she's like him, like in every way. Now, yeah, because they have the same ability, but that doesn't mean that their motivations are the same. So he ends up, like, he was like, you left me no choice. Something he said to her that he attacks her. So now they kind of tussling. And the next thing you know, Pretzel Jack shows up. He sees the fight. You see Pretzel Jack, and then you see Tall Man, and then you see Tom all in the back. And so Pretzel Jack, he didn't see Tall Man. So he's about to go to fuck Ian up. And then, of course, he get caught up by Tall Man. He gets fucked up and killed. And you can see when Pretzel Jack dies, it kind of zapped Jillian's energy for a minute, and then Tall Man turns around and he sees Tom, and so now Tom is trying to figure out how he's going to maneuver around Tall Man to get into this room with Jillian and Ian, because Tall Man still has that saw. So he was able to do that, to close the door and all that, and lock it. And she's telling him to make Tall Man stop. He was like, no, because I don't want to. And so she still had that knife. Oh, she had found the knife in one of the abandoned homes that she hid in her back pocket. So she pulled that shit out and she stabbed the shit out of Ian. And then Tom walks over and he stabbed his ass too. And the next thing you know, they're looking while they're stabbing him. Tall Man gets to the door and he's actually charging them. So they both fall to the floor and he ends up stabbing Ian and fucking Ian up. And I'm like, isn't that poetic? Killed by one of your own creations. So Ian is all fucked up. Now he's been killed Ian. And what you see is all the door starts to disappear. And so they, fast forward however many months. They're Tom and Jillian laying in bed, and they hear noise, and they was like, oh, it's your turn. So they, just joking, going back and forth, and they go in, and you realize that they've had a kid. So we don't know how long it's been. I don't know, at least maybe a year. I don't know, who knows. Or it could have, I'm not even gonna speculate how long it's been since that. But so they go, well, she ends up going in to get the little baby, and she gotta, held the baby for a little while and put the baby back in the crib. Baby was fine. And then she went back into the room to lay down. And so while they in the room laying down, next thing you know, they flash to the baby's room, and the little nightlight starts flickering. And next thing you know, the little baby door is created, and it opens. And so you don't see what's behind that door. God knows in a child's mind. But, so yeah, that's basically how it ended. Can we say it was a happily ever after? We don't know. We have the Bambino, they have very active imagination, so God only knows what is lurking behind that door, and the doors to come, because you can imagine a child with that kind of ability and very little emotional maturity. You can only imagine what's going to befall. I can't remember their last name, but what's going to be I think the name was Hodgson, something like that. What's going to befall their home. So yeah, that's how this season ended. Pretty good episode. I just thought, it was very interesting that he was killed by one of his own machinations. But that was okay. So yeah, pretty good. I can't wait for the next season. I still have to go back and look at the first 3 seasons. But yeah, I'm going to end this here, and I will talk to you guys in the next video.